The guy who was once clearly into you is now showing little interest, or perhaps even told you his feelings have changed. How can you get him to like you again? Hey ladies, Amy North here. Thanks for popping by. In this video, I want to talk about something that most of us have experienced, and that's what to do when the man who was once into you is no longer romantically interested. As you probably know, that feeling isn't a pleasant one, and if you're into him, you may find yourself desperate to make him want you again. Of course, showing this desperation is never a good idea. Now, before I share some foolproof tips for winning back his affection, I want to get your opinion on something. Since I often get video topic requests, I've gone through and put together a list of videos to create for all of you. To vote on what my next video should be, take a moment now to click on which topic you would like to see next. Your choices are in the top right-hand corner of the screen, so go ahead and vote right now. Also, if you enjoy this video or find the pointers I share here helpful, then subscribe to my channel and be sure to click the bell icon below. When you do, you'll be notified anytime I release a new video. Okay, let's get started. Whether it's an ex, a crush, or someone you were casually seeing, when the spark fades between you and your love interest, it can feel like all hope is lost. The good news is that this is most definitely not the case. In fact, because you held his heart at one point in time, to do so again is that much easier. The truth is, oftentimes people don't realize what they have until it's gone. And just because he's not feeling the vibe the two of you are sharing right now, it doesn't mean that he won't start to miss you and develop those romantic feelings towards you again, if you play your cards right. Think about it for a minute. There's likely been a point in your life where you found yourself questioning your feelings or debating if breaking things off with so-and-so was a good idea. Even though it probably was, otherwise you might be with him right now, you had your share of doubts once the reality of the situation kicked in, and you started to miss what the two of you shared. Well, ladies, that's what's going to happen with your latest loss too. But again, only if you play your cards right. Allow me to explain. If you make it known to the guy who's no longer interested in you that you're devastated about his change of heart or desperate to reignite his feelings towards you, then he's not going to suddenly like you again. Actually, the opposite is likely to happen, and that's he'll be glad he got away. If you're thinking, well, that's not me, or I'm not acting desperate, then it's important to rethink your actions and behaviors. Ask yourself if you've been blasting off sad messages meant to make him feel guilty about losing feelings, or if you're unintentionally giving him the cold shoulder or subtly showing that you're not impressed with him. Think about whether or not you've been shooting him dirty looks or giving him the sad puppy dog eyes. All these actions, big or small, let him know that you're upset about the situation. This is tricky because yes, on one hand, you want him to know that you're upset about what's happened. And in a way, it makes sense that you would need to do this if you're hoping to get him back. But what most women don't realize is that men and women are so different when it comes to breakups and rebuilding attraction. For starters, women are more likely to get back together with a man if they feel bad for him or worry about his well-being or loneliness. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but rather the reality is that our emotions play a huge role when deciding whether or not to get back together with someone. Men, on the other hand, can't be guilted into taking you back. And even if it does work for you and you do manage to win him over, it's only a matter of time until he realizes that he's been dumped into it and again calls it quits. Really, this will only get you right back to where you are right now. The difference being that trying a third time to stir up romantic feelings will be much tougher than the situation you're currently in. So then, if you can't give him puppy dog eyes, pass on plea bargains, or send nasty looks, how can you get a guy to like you again? Well, believe it or not, the number one thing you can do to make a man develop romantic feelings for you again is to act like you don't care that he's changed his mind about you. Now, before you freak out about how this sounds like the worst idea ever, hear me out. Guys like having to work women over, which is why if you act like him changing his mind about you doesn't bother you, then it's going to introduce an entire new challenge for him. Not to mention that acting on face will also make him wonder why you seem so unbothered by the situation. And he may even question if he's made a huge mistake and if you were the best he'll ever have. I mean, if he was that great, you'd be upset about his change of heart. But since you're not, maybe you were the catch that got away. Believe me, ladies, this is a great way to reverse roles and get him chasing you again. This all sounds great, and I know I said you should act like you don't care that he's changed his feelings towards you, but that doesn't mean you get to just sit around and wait for him to come back. That's not going to work. Instead, there are some key things you need to do to really turn up the heat and make him feel overwhelmed with desire for you. Don't get beat up by the fact that he's had a lapse in his feelings, but instead use this time to remind him why he fell for you in the first place. When you think about yourself, envision a strong, independent, happy woman, ready to take on the world. This mindset may be a bit tough to tackle at first, but believe me, practice makes perfect, and this really does work. There are loads of other things you can do to help boost your confidence too. For instance, make smiling a part of your daily outfit and stand tall with your head high. Since it's tough to feel down when your body is speaking so positively, you'll find it much easier to adopt a pleasant, positive mindset. Or, if you're looking for some more concrete ideas, you can leave yourself post-it notes around your house with your favorite inspirational quotes, or revamp your wardrobe so you feel like $1,000,000 every morning when you get dressed. One extra sneaky confidence booster that I love is wearing sexy lingerie. Sure, no one's going to see it, but just knowing what you have tucked under your outfit will make you feel like a seductive vixen. Give it a try and you'll see exactly what I mean. If you're interested in learning more foolproof, powerful ways to boost your confidence and become the fierce goddess any guy would go crazy over, then visit my site and watch the free video presentation. The URL is coachnorth.com, and I'll be sure to share the link in the description below. All right, so once you've started thinking positively and are feeling confident, the next thing you're going to want to do to get the guy into you again is to keep yourself busy. Since there's a good chance that he expects you to be down and out by the situation, by behaving in a way that shows him that you're still busy and loving life, well, he's going to first off be surprised, but he'll also be a bit jealous that he's not in on the fun. Since you don't want to be communicating with him on a constant basis right now, after all, you're too busy for that. You can use social media and your mutual friends to relay the same message. For instance, by posting attractive photos of you and your friends having a good time together, or checking into hot spots around town on Facebook, he will see that you're not sitting around wishing he was still into you. But instead, you're happily moved on and are cool with flying solo. This can be helpful for making him realize what he's missing. Now, I mentioned mutual friends here because they can be great for sharing stories, subtly of course, with the guy you're into. For instance, let's say that you went to a killer party on the weekend. If a mutual friend of the two of you casually relays the message that you had a blast dancing the night away together, then he's going to wish that he was a part of your epic night out, and again, be reminded how much fun you are to be around. Now, you may be wondering why you can't just tell him this yourself, and the reason for it is because you want to give him some space right now. Depending on your situation, how much space you give him will vary. For example, if you work with this guy, then you're still going to be around him on a regular basis, in which case you'll want to limit your communication to work topics, to start at least. However, if this man is someone you know from elsewhere, then cutting down communication will be much easier for you. A question I get asked by women often is, won't he just forget about me if I give him space after he's changed his feelings? The simple answer is no. See, giving him some time and space to himself may seem counterproductive, but in reality, it'll give him the chance to miss having you in his life, and before you know it, he'll be reaching out to you again. This is why it's important that you keep busy and focus on yourself. Yes, rubbing it in that your life is fabulous will work for stirring up feelings in him, but this won't work at all if you're not genuinely keeping yourself busy. Meaning, if your thoughts are solely about him and your focus is on getting him back, then your efforts to seem busy aren't going to work. And, as I mentioned earlier, if he picks up on your desperation and realizes that you're faking your fabulous life, well, you're ruining your chances of getting him to like you again. Instead of risking this, keep busy with friends, find new hobbies, and honestly enjoy yourself. This will prevent you from overthinking and obsessing, both of which are dangerous paths to go down. In the midst of your newfound busy life, make sure that you look good on a regular basis. This means putting in the extra little bit of time to comb your hair and iron your clothes. Look clean and smell fresh. You don't have to go over the top with stilettos and miniskirts. In fact, it would be weird if you suddenly did, and you would realize pretty quickly that you were grasping for his attention. But instead, looking well groomed and presented will take you far. Since this man has had feelings for you in the past, he may have shared with you some of his personal favorites of yours. For instance, maybe he shared that he loves seeing you in sundresses, or perhaps high-waisted jeans are his thing. If you're lucky enough to know these favorites of his, then use this information to your advantage and wear something you know he likes. Like most tips on this list though, you'll want to be careful not to overdo it and exclusively wear his favorites, because it'll only be a matter of time until he realizes what's actually going on. Once you've made it known that you're happily living your busy life, you're looking good, and you're feeling positive, you will get to the point where you become comfortable chatting with him again. Around the same time, you'll want to reintroduce flirting into your conversations. The best way to do this is to start small. Ask how his weekend was, smile when you see him, make eye contact when he talks to you, and laugh at his jokes. Tell him some exciting stories when he asks what you've been up to, and do your best to radiate happiness. Once you master how to ooze positivity and playfulness, you'll have him inching closer to you. Just be sure to avoid going from 0 to 100 when it comes to giving him attention. If you've been keeping some distance lately, then don't make him the center of your world once you're back to chatting regularly. It's fine to hint that you're interested, but if you cross that fine line between interest and obsessed, you'll end up sending out a needy vibe, which will most likely repel him. Once you are chatting more frequently, you may try to stir up his romantic feelings for you by recalling something fun the two of you experienced together in the past. For instance, maybe it was a night out on the town together, a mutual friend's party you both attended, or a nice home-cooked dinner. You shared, of course. Don't go overboard and jump right into sexual experiences, but instead remind him of times that you know meant something to him. Of course, if you want to steadily bring up a sexual memory, you can. Just be sure it's not at the heart of your story. For instance, let's say the two of you first got together after a steamy night at a blues bar. Instead of talking about the sexual interaction you shared, simply talk about the blues bar. When you do, make sure you talk through the memory in as much detail as possible. This will allow him to mentally picture the scenario, and the more vividly he can do so, the better chance that he'll keep thinking deeper into it, and alas, end up at the sex scene. Again, be careful not to overdo it because you don't want to give the impression that you're trying to win back his affection. Another easy way to introduce flirting is by complimenting him. Since all guys love to be told that they look good, make a point to acknowledge his physical appearance. You'll be amazed by how great of an impact simply telling him that he looks nice or commenting on his shirt will have on him and his feelings towards you. Once you put all of these tips to use, it will only be a matter of time until you've won back his feelings, and from there on out, you'll be on your way to a happy, healthy, loving relationship. Just be sure that at the heart of all your actions is your genuine positivity. If you're faking it or holding on to the hope of winning back his affection before being happy again, then you will have a much tougher time than if you really feel your own happiness. Before I wrap up this video though, I do want to share with you 3 pointers that are out of the mouths of men. Since this advice is straight from the guys, you will most definitely want to take note. Some of these ideas we've already discussed, but hearing it from men may help to hit home the most important pointers. The first tip is if you make it obvious that you're intentionally trying to make him chase you or win you back, he'll realize it. Since guys don't like feeling manipulated, this will do you no good when it comes to winning his affections. Instead, you need to play it cool. The second tip is that a woman who puts up a wall around herself won't get a man to chase her. We already talked a bit about cutting back on communication while on your quest to win him over, but this doesn't mean you should completely block him out or make yourself seem unapproachable. The key here is balance. You want to give him space, but you don't want to make him feel like you're intentionally ignoring him. He needs to know that there is hope to win you over and that he won't be rejected if he does approach you. And the last tip from men is to stay sane. This is perhaps the toughest tip to follow, especially when you're feeling smitten with someone or are longing for things to be how they once were. However, guys know when you'll bend over backwards for them, and it's a huge turnoff. Don't seem desperate, and again, play it cool. Well, that does it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did enjoy it, then please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and be sure to share this video with your girlfriends. As always, if you have any questions or comments about what I covered here, or if there's a topic that you'd like to see me tackle, then feel free to post those in the comments below, and I'll do my best to personally get back to each of you ASAP. So ladies, until next time, take care and good luck.